My theory is that high IQ women, which I so lovingly call HIWs, are conditioned to prioritize logic, logical achievement, pragmatism, and things that have a traceable and tangible ROI. If you don't know me, I'm Denisha. I'm a wellness coach and a writer, and I talk a lot about how creativity connects to our health and well being and how it can help us to self actualize and create an identity outside of our productivity. I also feel like I'm a certified HIW, so that's why I'm talking about this. We overemphasize and glorify the measurable test scores, salaries, campaign results, net worths, portfolio projections. We calculate our lean fire numbers over our Cheerios. And the idea of doing things just because they might be enjoyable in the moment becomes this ludicrous, ridiculous thing. And then on top of that, we can't even enjoy rest because of this subconscious pressure, especially now in 2026, to make it suitable for consumption. So even if you're not a person who posts online, you're silently and subconsciously comparing your simple shower routine, let's say, to the 10-step one you saw online, or your 5-minute makeup routine is now held up against this beat that you saw on your For You page. And I don't know which girl we're on right now. Are we clean girl, glam, messy? I don't know. I don't know. This video is a call into creative rest. We're not just talking about sleep. We're going to go beyond that. We know that sleep is imperative for body function, cognition, digestion, muscular repair, overall health. But I know so many HIWs who sleep 7+ hours, 9 hours, and still feel deeply tired. There's a biological base to all of this that definitely needs to be evaluated by a medical professional. So I won't go too deep there. We're going to unpack the spiritual and emotional side, which is what I think we so often neglect. So, what is creative rest? Sleep is a great way to get physical rest, but it isn't the only kind of rest you need. So, if you're in need of mental rest, spiritual rest, or emotional rest, you're still going to feel depleted in your waking hours if you are only paying attention to your physical rest. I'm going to share a quote with you, and it says, "What happens is people tend to excel at getting certain types of rest while completely omitting other types, simply because they don't know they exist." That's by Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith. And in her work, she wrote a book about this. She explores 7 different types of rest. Today, we're going to focus on one of them, which is creative rest. And creative rest is the deliberate act of exposing yourself to artful, natural, aka nature, or innovative environments. It's, in my definition, it's taking the impact of creation, creation by God, creation by our fellow humans, without feeling this intense pressure to create anything ourselves in this moment. It's more observational. So you're just noticing and embracing the sensation of inspiration in the body. You metabolize it, you keep it with you take it with you. We need this kind of rest when we feel stuck in life, when we feel uninspired or unable to create new solutions to the problems that we're facing. And I think even more so for us HIWs, because logic is what we rely on so heavily, and that can force us to miss the forest for the trees. So we lose sight of the bigger picture of life, and we forget that interspersed within this miracle of all that God has created, we were also created. Our existence in this brief time passing through this planet is miraculous. And then we waste it hemming and hawing over things that may matter, but don't matter deeply to us. And to be truly productive, which I believe is what our souls crave as HIWs, we have to be aware of what we actually need. We have to recognize when our need for rest goes beyond the physical, beyond just sleeping, and when an actual creativity deficit is negatively impacting our daily lives. And you might say, "Oh, Denisha, I'm not a creative." I'm going to stop you right there. Yes, you are. It is societal conditioning that is telling you that you're not creative. I believe that creativity is inherent to our identities and to our very existence. In the same way that you are a human being, you wouldn't say, "Oh, Denisha, I'm not a human being." You are creative. And how can I say this so confidently? It is because you are made in the image of the greatest creator there ever was, is, is to come. He calls you his child, Imago Dei, image of God. So whether you spend your days painting, creating pottery, doing quant analysis in a bank, you are creative. And you just need to embrace that. Everything becomes easier once you just embrace that and accept it as true. Because to generate anything new, new work, product, a solution to a problem, a result, even a new question is generative. It's a generative creative act. And many of us HIWs are walking around deeply exhausted, even if we are sleeping 8 hours, simply because we are disconnected. We are so deeply disconnected from this part of ourselves. We continue to create work and produce results, but is it our best work? Is it the best we can do? Is it the work that we are most proud of, that's most meaningful and impactful to ourselves and others? Does it align with the message we want to share with the world? Or is it simply what we can just scrape together with the limited energy that we have left? We have to really reflect on that because I believe that we all have a magnum opus brewing inside of us. The final format and what that actually looks like tangibly is totally up to the individual, but the light, the message is just waiting to be pulled out and expressed. And we can't pull it out or express it if we're burned out. So when we think about tapping into generative rest, usually the area of life that we need to rest in is the one where we're pouring out the most. So an athlete might need physical rest. A visual designer may typically need creative rest. Socialites need social rest. The scroll sick, y'all that be doom scrolling all day, need sensory rest. But in this case, I want us to think of rest as something that can be generative versus just restorative in the way that we usually think about it. When you're physically rested, you're generally well, you're feeling well, you're emotionally regulated, but you still feel that quiet yearning inside for more, to know yourself, to understand what you individually are here to do, to be, to create. We can enter into creative rest to begin tapping into that side of ourselves and see what comes out on the other side. So, I'm going to share 3 small experiments for you to try in your own life this week. I love a small experiment. I think it's the perfect way to try something new. The first one I'm going to share with you is nature. We can take inspiration from our creator to help us out here. So just practice being fully present and observing what exists around you. Like go outside. As they say, touch some grass. The simple act of stepping away from the noise of our everyday lives and just moving your body in nature can be both restorative and generative. It's a great way to recharge your batteries. And it's free. Like, you can do this even if you live in a big city like I do. I live in Brooklyn, New York, so I don't want to hear any excuses. You can sit in your local park. Just look up when you're walking the streets. The sun is still shining, the birds are still chirping. You will find something to love, to appreciate, to admire. Something I do is just ask, how did that get there? Why does that look the way it looks? Whose idea was that? I know whose idea it was. But it's just these existential questions that can kind of help you put yourself in right perspective and realize that you are just this tiny person on a floating rock and life's going to be okay. It makes you appreciative for how much beauty surrounds you on a daily basis when you may not have realized it before. Experiment 2 is returning to play. I think the childhood version of us or the teen version of us was so tea. I think the youthful version of us holds the key to who we truly are. So just think before the labels, the pressure of you needing to go to this specific college or choose this specific major or have this specific career. Before all of that, before all of the expectations settled in, who were you? Were you a dancer, a writer, a baker, an inventor, a gamer? I personally loved art. I was always drawing or painting or making something with my hands. I love to write, which is something I'm returning to now. I love to create novels just for fun. I love fashion. I still love fashion, but I love to play dress up. Like, I was just this fun kid in her own world. So it's just helpful to think, what did I do with my unstructured free time when I wasn't in school and I was just home on the weekend? What was I doing? And then start to think, how can I start to integrate tiny bites of that sense of play back into my life now? Can I play some of the same games I used to play or do some of the same activities I used to do? How can I inject little pieces of those back into my everyday life and then see what the effect of that is? And then the last experiment is changing your surroundings. I think two things can be true here at once. A quote that I recently wasn't in these exact words, but this is how I internalized it and how I say it now. Same four walls, same four ideas. And the second is you bring you wherever you go. So while this experiment of changing your surroundings, it's not a free pass for escapism. Okay. I'm not saying that you can just like change your settings, change your surroundings and everything's going to be 100% different or your life's going to transform right away. That's just not the truth. And I think science even proves that we associate physical settings with certain behavioral cues. So, if, for example, you do all of your hard work, your hardest, most stressful work at an office desk, that office desk is not going to be the same place where you try to rest and relax and unplug because your brain associates that with hard work and higher levels of stress. So your deeper problems that you're dealing with internally aren't just going to evaporate because you change locations, because you buy a one-way ticket to, I don't know, Australia and you go live there for a month. That is not going to fundamentally change the deeper things that you're dealing with. But on the other hand, changing your environment can be exactly what you need to gain new perspective, to just step away from some of the things that could be triggering you and to help you to relax, for you to observe beauty in a new way, see things you haven't seen before and feel inspired, and just step into your creative identity with more ease. So, if we're hitting that wall, if we want to feel more generative, more creative in our lives and our work, I think it's important to just change the setting from time to time. And it can be something as simple as you leaving your apartment to go work from a coffee shop or a co-working space or just a place that you find to be visually stimulating and beautiful. I know that helps me a lot. It can be playing simple music in the background. I love those little jazz house mixes, or to find a cool DJ that makes jazz house mixes and just play that while I work or do mundane tasks to just elevates the task and helps it feel a lot lighter and more fun to do. So you can try things like that. But again, just remember those two quotes: same four walls, same four ideas. You take you wherever you go. So it's just helpful to ground ourselves in that perspective while we change our settings. So to leave you with a final thought, I want to keep it simple. We're just going to do three small experiments today, and you only have to choose one. That makes it so easy. So I don't want to hear any excuses. Pick one. We're doing it. And physically add it to your schedule this week. Like put it in the Google Calendar, color code it. It needs to go on the calendar. If you're currently thinking about your relationship to striving and achievement, I always say this because it's so important. You're not alone. Like every HIW, if you identify as an HIW, just put the little raise hand emoji in the comments. Like, I want to know who's out there, but I just want to reiterate you're not alone. So, if you want to go deeper in this work of unlocking your creativity, it is a vital, vital part of your burnout and stress recovery journey to re engage with yourself as a creative being and to really accept that truth that that is who you are is transformative to how you feel emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. So if that is something that appeals to you, my door is always open. You can get in touch for one-on-one coaching. I left the link in the description if you'd like to have a call with me. Or to get started, you can also read the Personal Brand Manifesto, which is a book I wrote to help you identify your values as you create visible work. So both are in the description. Both are available to you to help you get started on this journey. But other than that, I'm going to go. But do one of the experiments and we will chat next time.